Chelsea,
Brian.
it's been a while.
Yes, been a while.
I think everybody was kind of wondering, well, did they make it to 9 and that's it? Jesus, what is wrong with you?
I got a nasty cold after Easter and I can't kick it. So,
East the big shindig that nobody knew about?
yeah. Um
Was
my
somebody sick that you knew of, or
so Brianna was sick,
your sister was the one that was sick?
but she's right in the fact that the first people sick were the kids.
Well, usually, yeah, it is going to be the kids.
So, I probably got this from my son. Um but yeah, I got like very sick last Monday and
Right.
have been coughing nonstop since. It's exhausting coughing this much. Absolutely exhausting. I will say before you even ask, I haven't like taken a COVID test. I don't have any here. It's 2023. I don't know.
We're just to the point now to where you're just like, fuck it.
Well, my doctor was like, we won't do anything differently if that's what you have. They were more concerned that I had like strep or sinus infection or like something that requires antibiotics.
So did they roll all that stuff out?
No, they didn't test for any of that. They just told me to take Robitussin and said I don't have those symptoms. So there's a virus going around.
Oh, I bet. I mean, just listen to you. I mean, you sound like you've
Yeah.
got just about everything that's on the floor of a public bathroom.
It's really just a nasty cough, but for a living, like I get paid to talk. So the
Right.
past 2 weeks have been miserable. Like I've canceled basically everything I can. I've not attended anything in person. Also, wanted to do this, but was not super thrilled to do this with like the king of audio quality. I was like, I'm just gonna screw this audio quality for the whole time.
It'll blend in with all of the crackle and snaps and everything that I have that goes on my end. So has it affected your work stuff to where you can't really do anything?
No, I mean, most of my stuff's one on one. I was really lucky and a group training I was doing turned into individual trainings. And I think people are more forgiving one on one. I mean, when I was sick, like when I was feverish, I just canceled everything, right? Like, and tried to recover. Like, I basically slept all last week. So it's not like I've been over here pushing myself and I just can't seem to get better. Like, I slept for a week. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to start taking meetings this week because I kind of have to at some point. And I was
Did you have
just
to
like, I have
explain to everybody I'm sick, or do you just try to go through it and just or they're going to realize you're sick, so why even address it?
no, I addressed it because I sound terrible. And I didn't want them to think I'm like compromising my health to be with them. So I was like, hey, I took a week off. I've already rested. I am taking a few meetings this week. I'm not like compromising. I sound terrible. I recognize that. And they'd be like,
You
oh,
should have them feel that way.
I don't want them to feel bad.
They should make them
Why?
feel like you're doing a little extra to do whatever it is you're doing. If you're a client,
No, I set examples for how clients should be behaving. So I'm not going to be like, hey, I also recommend you push through work even when you're sick. No, I try to like set an example. Like when I go on vacation, I don't talk to them.
FYI, I'm a huge germaphobe, so this kind of freaks me out. Like I even though we're
What?
not even in the same room, every time you've coughed, I shiver because I'm like, oh, like it makes me want to gag a little bit, to be honest with you. I mean it does. I've got a
Yeah.
really bad gag reflex, just for everybody so everybody can know. Ever since I was a little kid, I had issues when I had orthodontic work when I was a kid. Even trying to talk about it, um, I would work my well. I went to a orthodontic appointment when I was a kid, and somehow during that appointment, I gagged when they were doing stuff in my mouth,
Yeah.
and ever since then to this day, I will obsess over going to the dentist or anything that has to do with my mouth, and I will work myself up anxiety wise to where I stress out so bad, and then I also get myself to gag just out of like it's completely ridiculous, and it's such a short wire in my head that
Ugh.
I cannot get over.
So half of me like wants to feel bad for you and can really empathize with that. There's a solid other half of me that wants to like see how public I can make this problem of yours.
Yeah, I'm like my breathing has changed. My palms are kind of sweaty, and just even trying to tell that story, because it's something that I've grown up more back in the day, but I still feel kind of shameful about it. Like I'm embarrassed about it, and the more I talk about it, the more I feel like I'm trying to get over that mental hurdle of mine. And I've talked to dentists and hygienists. There's one hygienist I've had for the last like 6, 7 years, and she's the only person that I will go to, and she has a routine for me to where when I go in, she gets me like a spray, and I just spray the hell out of my mouth just to make everything numb. Not because of the pain, but it's
Yeah.
something to mask what I'm there for. And the dentist, he's an old timey fashioned guy, and every single time, like he's pissed at me, like he thinks I'm a big pussy or something. He's like, just
You
quit
need
doing
to,
that. He goes, you're trading one thing in for the other. I was like, then I'm not coming. I'm not going to come.
yeah, you need to switch dentists. They're like dentists that just put you
I
under
can't
for
leave. I can't leave
dentistry.
the hygienist. I cannot leave the hygienist. I understand what you're saying. I
Like I
I've
went to one that was called a gentle adult dentist, and they like swore that they wouldn't hurt you, and they really didn't. And not, I understand it doesn't like hurt.
right.
Like I don't even want the minimal hurt, you know. Like I don't want all the jabbing and the oops, sorry, I like stabbed your gum and now you're bleeding. My bad. Let me just suction that for you.
But here's where I'm mentally messed up. I want to hurt because the pain, when they do something that makes it hurt, it distracts me from the gagging.
You can't
I'm
make me
that
laugh.
messed
You
up.
can't say things like I want to hurt because I can't laugh right now. If I laugh, I cough.
I'm so serious. But we
Hold
are
it
going I think we're going to try these midweek episodes. I enjoy them. We've mentioned it before because I feel like we don't have to do too much to get prepared because we're reviewing what we did on the last one. And then we look forward to, okay, let's plan out what we're going to do for the weekend episode. And just so that everybody knows for sure, you and I are good for this Friday. We have episode 11 ready that we are going to do because we've
Mhm.
been gone for like 2 weeks because you've been sick.
You're free Friday?
Oh, you know what? I forgot to get back to you.
If you are, I'm free.
Yes, I believe I am free now. Well, I believe I'll be home by the time we have to do the senior track and field thing. And just let me, now that I see Amanda, I remembered Amanda said she was going to be in the carpool lane, um,
And asked you not to.
driving with kids. And I said, you know what? Let me talk with Chelsea and make sure she doesn't drop any kind of
Yes, I
words.
am the liability.
But Chelsea's also the one that drops things like pleasure machine. And I said, look, I'm going to talk with Chelsea just in case she's driving and she's got kids in her car. And she's like, well, I'm just going to wear my earbuds. I was like, okay, well, then if Chelsea drops her pleasure machine reference again, then it'll be okay. Oh, wait, no. She forgot her earbuds. Oh, man. I am so. So Amanda was going to wear earbuds so she could listen while she was driving the kids around. And then now I just messed that up.
Big time. Goodness. Everyone, Brian finds some joy in bringing me on sick. Mind you, I'm not so sick I can't do it. I make my own decisions. I'm an adult. I'm not blaming that. I'm so sick that I feel like it's embarrassing to be coughing the whole time. And Brian thinks this is like hilarious. So I'm just going to apologize that I'm coughing. I can't possibly mute as much as I need to. And Brian thinks this is great. So,
Well, I think some people are probably just, like I said, assuming that we just got to 10 and we were done with the show.
so we
So
just show up.
I've had other people say, you know, are you guys doing another show? Because we had a schedule going. We were doing pretty good. And I think the last time that I was kind of guessing, I threw out numbers of what I thought the percentage chance of us actually getting to the 24 episodes. I was well under 50%, I think, the last time that I said it. and with you being gone for almost 2 weeks now, I mean, it's under 10%. I'm not being funny. I'm thinking under 10% that we make it to the 24 episodes, much less even a project after the 24 episodes.
Okay, I love this. I had a fever for a week, and Brian's decided 10% chance Chelsea got sick. Screw her, unacceptable. A fever for a week, and now I have proof. Hello, I'm eating
My
Halls.
co-host is like dying of some sickness that she got from her sister, or it might have even come from Amanda. Who knows? Can I even say Amanda was there or no? Are you guys still not
It was
telling
posted.
people?
It was posted. That was public. Yeah.
But I should have a little more sympathy that you've been sick, but I don't want to be in your business. I don't want to get too personal, right? Because I don't know what you got going on. I just figured, well, Chelsea's busy. You said you didn't say that you were this sick. You just said you weren't feeling good, and so I didn't know. So I'm like, maybe she's sick, and maybe she's kind of just sick of doing this. I don't know.
I'm capable of showing up to this. I'm not that. Like, I would take care of myself first. Like, I showed up, but I sound terrible. So I'm more just apologizing for that and laughing at, like, you loving doing this publicly. I believe the exact quote was, "My son has pink eye. I'm terrified I'll get it." And Brian responded with, like, "If you get pink eye, we have to do a live."
I did say that. I thought that would be I thought that would make for a good live. Is that Chelsea, if her son gave her pink eye, that she should do the podcast or the live with pink eye?
Just so strange.
Because I think it'd be fun. And then I told her she could wear an eye patch, but it would have to be over the good eye. So she would have the pink eye, the goopy pink eye showing, but then have her real eye, her good eye covered with the eye patch. I think that would be hilarious.
It is so bizarre. Like, people don't want to see. Like, I'm not even a vain person. I rarely wear makeup. Like, I don't really care how I look for the most part. I don't want to be gross and unsightly. Like, it's just.
But we're putting on a show to entertain people. Like, I
It's
feel nervous.
entertaining.
So Anna's here. And I'm like nervous, and I'm like, okay, this is, I think, her first time that she's tuned in to one of our lives, and I'm like,
It's always this weird. It's always this weird.
But I feel like this is like our one chance to show her we've actually got something entertaining going, and then she's going to go back and be like on her podcast, oh my God, Tossing Salad podcast and Brian and Chelsea Makeup podcast, that was so lame. All they did was talk about Chelsea being sick and getting God knows what from Amanda. Pink eye from
what is, you people are strange.
See, Amanda would watch a host with pink eye.
And Anna thinks we're doing great. So I would say thank you, Anna.
You know what I also think you should do
What?
if you had pink eye and being sick? I think you should also order the overalls that Amanda had that are see-through.
I haven't ordered some.
You haven't paid attention. Yeah, okay. You don't pay attention to the drama and the stories within the garden community.
I was sick.
Yeah. Well, when you're sick, that's when you have the time to find out all the scoop of everything going on. And I think that's why you break so many rules.
Okay.
And
so I've thought about this a lot, especially, I'll just share behind the scene things y'all didn't see. Brian was running the comments, and I
Is this where you're going to yell at me? Is this where you're going to get on to me?
Not yell you.
No, but this is good for host. So yes, I'm going to let you bring it on.
I was trying to stir the pot, right? Like, I made this graphic and had Brian post it, because I was like trying to stir the pot a little bit, especially in how I wrote it. And then Brian's being like defensive in every response in the comments. Like, someone comments and Brian like comments back with a ton of details. Someone comments and Brian comments back. And I was like, whoa, Tonto, like, we were trying to kind of stir the pot. We effectively did. You can't like comment back at people.
So tell me, so I know what you're saying. So you sent me a message, basically, like you just said, you're basically saying, slow it down a little bit.
Yeah,
or tone it down. I forget what exactly you said. I know I know what you meant, and I do have a problem with that. But I look at it as I'm engaging with people, but maybe it comes across as people, especially my wife, have said before, that I come across very combative sometimes, and my tone is bad.
Which there's not technically tone because it's in writing, right? So
But
it's
everybody
assumed.
reads tone into the messages
Totally.
and comments. We all read tone.
So my takeaway from this is my own personal takeaway, and I will stand by this. And it's kind of why I did the graphic in this way. I personally don't believe there are any rules other than the basic rules they'll take your page down that the company has. Other than that, there are no rules of Instagram. There are norms, and the norms vary dramatically based on audience size, and you can't break them. You're just either acting in them or not acting in them. And if you don't act in them, I believe in some natural consequences a little bit. And so basically, that would probably be like you feeling a little strange, like you did something funny or you did something out of the norm or you did something divergent. And that's kind of how I learned is I did a bunch of like divergent stuff. It was like, oh, people are acting strangely to me or responding oddly to me. So as an example, if someone wrote a comment, one of the unwritten rules is watch the whole video before posting or before commenting. And someone wrote a comment that clearly showed that they didn't watch the podcast.
Right.
And Brian has this like paragraph response. And I was like, it'd be so much funnier to pull this back up if you just said, check out rule number, or we actually
But
have
that
a
would
rule.
have been worse, wouldn't it? What you're saying sounds funny to me now. Like that totally sounds like something that I should have said. But I think that comes across even worse.
But I mean,
Right?
if we're intentionally trying to shake stuff up, like we were kind of trying to instigate a little bit. We can't sit here and be like, hi, this is a totally bland post that no one will want to comment on. Here you are.
But it's nice if we were garnering a lot of comments back and forth, and it's something that got people communicating and putting their input and everything. None of it's fabricated. I stand by everything that I came up with my personal rules.
We know you feel
But
strongly about the items in that list.
but I think from some of the comments that I got, and then maybe some of the messages, because I think there were some people that were just not comfortable in posting publicly because either they were afraid that they were going contrary to maybe what the rules were and they weren't sure if those were my rules or your rules or whatever, or they just didn't want to get into it on a public forum. But I knew that what we had talked about ruffles and had ruffled some feathers because we all don't have the same unwritten rules. But here's something that I just had a conversation with, and I'm not going to mention who. Feel free, if you're here, you could chime in too. Not everybody's experiences are exactly the same.
Yep.
Case in point, when you have an account when I say you have a lot of followers, whatever number that is, it's all relative whether you're a big account or not, right? But as your account grows and you get more followers, you tend to get more stuff that you have to deal with. And on a one-on-one basis, it's not a big deal. As far as whether they're troll comments or people asking you very basic questions that can be easily Googled or should be Googled. But when your account gets bigger, you get that way more often. And so some of the people that were responding to me, I tried in a very nice way to say, I get what you're saying. I understand that you love the community and that you want to be helpful to people. See, here's where my tone,
but
I have a shit tone.
you had a butt tone when you started that sentence.
I did.
I get what you're saying.
Exactly. And then I'm going to sound like an asshole.
Say it again without a butt tone. I'm just really curious.
I can't say it without the tone. That's why I have issues. That's why I don't have any friends.
Just try for fun.
I I need coaching. Like, if you want to coach me on an episode on how to
I'm doing it right
perform
now.
in
If you haven't
society,
seen it, I'm doing it
well, I
right
know,
now.
but now I feel like, okay, we're 20 minutes in and we're trying to keep it within 60 minutes and we have to go over everything from the last episode and then plan for Friday. I feel like I'm pressured now. But my thing is, I get what you're saying. Not you, but I'm saying the persons that I was communicating with. But your account, you're not getting all of the comments that some other accounts get on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. So
Okay,
when
can
you
I
have
show count
somebody that
them?
asks you, "Hey, um, can I start my tomatoes right now?" What? And you don't have a pre-existing, like an established relationship to where you can ask anything. All of this comes down to what kind of relationship you have, and everybody perceives their relationship different. Some people think you're within an inner circle more than you are, but when you get basic questions like, can I start tomatoes now? I don't know. Where do you fucking live? You
So
know?
here's what I think would fix it. Say that. I don't know. I don't even know where you live.
I know. Well,
Say that. It's everyone's fake. It's like then you're responding with like, oh, great question. I would love to talk to you about starting tomatoes. It's very important. Caveat, 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 because I don't want you to be offended by my personal opinion. Caveat, caveat. This is when I start tomatoes. Okay, please, good sir, go off and start some tomatoes thoughtfully and consciously for the environment. It's fake as hell. Sorry, Amanda. So instead, just go for like, I can't answer that question. I don't know anything about you, bro.
the difference though, and here's where I think we all kind of trip up on it, and I trip on it also. If it was Chelsea saying, "Hey," and you ask me a question, I may, like, for fun be like, "Do you try Googling it?" I just because it's something that we've talked about. But
Yeah,
then
you be
because of
sarcastic with
but
me.
because our relationship, I would more than willing to spend the time to interact and go through a bunch of stuff with you. The
Yeah.
same with a handful of other people, but it's not the same the more people that you have that either follow you or that interact with you. You just, well, I can't. And I said before, I can't interact at a high level with more than I don't know what I said before, 10 or 20 people, and that's pushing it for me. Some of you who have larger accounts are able to interact at a high level and spend the time, and I get it, and I appreciate that skill. It's just not something that I have. But the reason why I brought it up was you just have to be aware of the other person also, that they possibly are getting questions like that all the time, and if you can head off some of these questions and look it up yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's why I think it was a great episode for us to do.
I agree. I think it's very fun. I just still stand by like some of this is kind of like woe's me. I have so many followers. I receive so many comments and so many questions. Here's the dynamic I'm presenting. You're presenting the I've made famous Instagram account dynamics, which was really useful. I'm presenting the I haven't. And so some of it's kind of like, where's the tiniest violin that can play in the corner as I'm upset by how many people? And then the other side of it for me, as I'm reflecting on all this, and I was not as feisty during the episode, but I'm really feisty right now, apparently, is the idea that I just think
Because you're
the
high on
responses,
Robitussin.
I'm high on Robitussin. The responses are inauthentic. Like if it was an authentic response, it would be sarcastic, right? It's like people are continuously breaking norms because we're not penalizing them for those norms. So if someone says, when can I start tomatoes? Depends on your location. Look it up. You know, like if you were to give authentic responses to people when they're asking you questions, if you were to really behave the way the norm suggests you should behave, people would correct their actions. But you don't. You give these like thoughtful, caveated, long, rambly comment responses. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look at our post on episode 9. And you could just be brief. So I'm starting a social experiment. My sister is beautifully bemused. She's going to hate me. She did a tomato upside down. And then she did a tomato horizontal. And those always go viral for some reason if you're looking to get famous. And so her tomato horizontal one, someone commented and was like, but my beans are yellow. And it just made no sense. And so I just responded, assuming they just misunderstood the post. I gave the honest response, which was, she's talking about tomatoes. Because that's like my honest gut reaction is like, that's funny that you say beans. She's not talking about beans, she's talking about tomatoes.
Right.
Bria was like, don't comment that. I was like, why? That's like the authentic response. That's my real life. You are giving a divergent behavior. You're diverging from a norm. You're behaving strangely. I am giving you a natural response. And I'm just going to keep this experiment going and see if over time either I lose all my friends or I slowly start to get people behaving correctly with me.
It's interesting you bring up your sister. And again, if she's not here, it's hard to talk about her, and especially if other people don't know her or something. But she's your twin sister, but I think there's a lot of things that aren't twins about you guys. And one is
meaning we're not the exact same person. That's what you just said. But actually, you're not exactly the same person, and that's weird.
And that's why I would find it fascinating to do an actual like sit down with you guys to go through that, because I honestly I don't know what it is to be like a twin, or it sounds like it's this freak Frankenstein thing to where you guys are the same person kind of, or something, you know what I'm saying? But
no, I don't know what you're saying. You're not the same person.
That's why we need to have an actual, I don't know whether we'll turn it into a podcast or another live or something, I don't know. But like I see Brianna being very much concerned with she's like wanting to be nice to like everybody. And that's how kind of I was my first few years within the garden community, the garden fam. I know, look, I know I sound like
you were overly nice in this post, so I'm going to disagree with you.
But I'm to the point now to where if I can catch myself from saying something like snotty, I can say something kind of smart ass, and I always put it under the guise of trying to be funny. I just won't respond anymore. And I'm at a different point now on social media, and especially like even within gardening. I'm not necessarily done with the social media part of gardening. I'm very much still into interacting with the friends that I've made in funny ways, and occasionally we'll discuss something within gardening. I still have posts going up regularly just so that the account doesn't die out. But I'm kind of just I don't have an interest in building up anymore. So then I'm no longer in my head necessarily caring whether I respond to people or not. And I know it's a shit way to do it, and I deserve to not have anybody interact.
I don't believe you at all. And I say this from a place of love, but I do not believe it. I don't see it. You still behave like a big account. You got to join. I have
like 2,000 or 1,500 people. That's the great thing about when I started over. Back.
You're so thoughtful. Like, I want to see authentic Brian on, like, just get in it. Yeah. Authentic Brian would have been like, read Rule 5.
Authentic Brian, as authentic as he gets, is on the Brian and Chelsea Make a Podcast. Ooh. That and probably the Tossing Salad podcast. The whole last couple weeks have been pretty real Brian over there too. But
the episode of Andre,
the Andre one was great. And the post that the little clip I did yesterday, where just a real brief aside, was the one time that I actually noticed that I threw him off a little bit. Like, he and I are always kind of joking around, having a good time, and he knows I'm coming at a fun thing, and he's always coming and laughing. But I said something to the effect of, people like you and people like me shouldn't get along. And you can tell if you go watch that video that I posted. I don't know if it was this morning or last night. You can tell, because he goes, oh. And you could tell that it's not the same Andre we've been talking to for most of that episode. Because he was getting ready. He thought I was like being like serious about something that we were going to take a left turn on. I won't say what it was, but it was interesting to watch him and hear him. You can hear it in his voice to where he got worried a bit. So
I mean, grass is a division amongst the garden community. You really can't just bring up someone's lawn preferences casually in the podcast. It is
He
the litmus test of
he was a little shocked that I said, traditional lawn people, which he is, but he also appreciates the clover lawn, the weed lawn as well. If you guys listen to the whole podcast, but um, yeah, clover lawn people hate traditional lawn people.
yeah.
It's all over TikTok. Uh, whether it is on Instagram, I would assume it is because Instagram people all copy TikTok people anyways. So there's one thing for Instagram people to hate me on. But yeah, huge divide between clover lawn people and traditional lawn people. They don't get along. And I thought it was kind of funny the way I was bringing it up to him in the show, but I felt it. I felt the energy change when I knew he wasn't really following me for that brief second. But
Oh,
anyways,
it was, I for sure know what you mean. I brought up grass as a joke, but yeah,
so
no, that was funny.
what?
Wait, really fast to
Oh
get
yeah,
back to this.
sorry.
Oh, one thing I will say with this whole rules thing, I'm not trying to change divergent people. I think divergent people are the only interesting people, honestly. I just like social experiments. So I think if we were to like reset from like rules and you broke them and I'm mad at you because they're broken, or I'm not mad at you, but like mostly I hear like offense or like you're making my life harder. It's like there are norms. Some people follow them, some people don't. Those that don't follow them, not sarcastically or not in a rude way, but just like honestly react more authentically. And I say all that from a place of privilege because I have nothing to lose because I have like 3 followers. But I do think there's space to like just be a little bit more authentic with responses and less like you owe people anything, like you don't owe anyone anything. And I'm saying all of this for the unwritten rules we drafted. The other rules that are quite like literally written in the rules in terms of service for Instagram around like harassment, sexual harassment, etc. I'm like not discussing right now. But yeah, for these type of rules, it's like these are norms of behavior. It would be great. A lot of times the app forces you to break them. And when people are divergent, like treat them as such, and just
Okay,
see what happens.
you and Amanda are bringing up this divergent behavior. I don't know what that means. So just in
Divergent
case.
divergent would just be like off the normal path.
Okay.
So, I mean, if I broke any of these,
I didn't want to seem like I was dumb, but I was like, I don't know what divergent behavior means.
no, that's fair. If I broke any of these, you would consider me divergent. Well,
But you
like at
do.
least I know I do, and it's divergent. I have privilege because I have a sister who people know and love, so then they tend to be nice to me for no reason. Thank you, everyone. But I break them. Now I didn't break them on purpose. I didn't know I was breaking them. I didn't know they existed, and that's normally how you figure them out. So like when you're learning about culture is just norms of behavior. You tend to learn from breaking it. So like if I were to walk into an elevator and it's 2 people in the elevator and I put my shoulder standing touching next to one person in the elevator, that one person would probably move or be weird or roll their eyes or punch me. I have no idea. And it's like me learning a norm is not to stand touching the person next to you in the elevator. And me touching them was a divergent behavior. And so society reacted back on me. And like the person standing next to me reacted.
Are you sick in this elevator in this example?
Even if I'm not sick, if I was totally well and there are only 2 people in an elevator and there's space and I just stood touching someone, that would be weird.
Because if you were just Chelsea and you weren't sick, I would like if you came up and you're just like standing right next to me, I'd be like, okay, weirdo. But then I would freak out if you were sick standing next to me.
Right? Especially post-COVID, you'd probably yell at me.
Well, pre and post COVID, because again, being a germaphobe, I'm like, get the fuck away from me, sick person.
Yeah. So like that is divergent behavior that I
gotta watch my language in case Amanda's driving with the kids.
I do like this one. Anna saying people need to have boundaries, especially the idea of like you have your boundaries and like communicating them, over communicating them, and reinforcing them. I think is really smart as you decide what your boundaries are. And so part of that could be if people comment on your posts and did not read the caption or did not watch the video, ignore them. And that is holding a boundary.
Holding the boundary and accepting that those are your boundaries and don't feel guilty in enforcing them and don't just blow them aside.
Yep.
Because if you start going against what you consider your boundaries are on social media, you're going to have a miserable time. And I always like the last year and a half, 2 years, as I've been a little more vocal on more of just the negative experiences on social media in general. People are just saying, "Oh, Brian, you're getting grumpy, you're a grumpy guy or whatever." And yes, I am, but I think a lot of the problems stem from the fact that everybody is just kind of focused on just themselves.
Hmm.
So, in a lot of these rules are people that just assume that you are there for them and there's nobody else. So you are their tomato grower. You're their personal gardener encyclopedia. You know, um, I, I think you either make it, you have your rules and you stick by them and don't be ashamed about them, or you're just going to be miserable. And you and I have considered doing a show on what goes on in our DMs as far as like the real talk. There's so many people that are almost just as negative on certain situations because they just get tired of it. Their accounts grow a little bit, and it's we converse and we compare notes, and we're just like, I can't believe people do this
Yeah.
still. So
I like to
I
go on.
love the fact that you made this graphic, by the way. I don't know if I've told you that before. That's something I've never really done before. I'm just not good at it. I love this. And I think it's an easy way for people to see and consume the information that we did on the pod or on the live. And it's something that if we were popular and people liked our show, it's something that you could share as well, right?
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Um, Canva is a beautiful thing for anyone who likes this stuff. If
did
you
you
use Canva already, you'll realize how easy this is and be less impressed.
did you enjoy your? I know you were sick, so it's probably not a question to ask. And I apologize for kind of eating in front of everybody here. I'm using the mute button also. Like
You're using it better than me. I've been trying to use it, but I'm just coughing too much.
you, I don't know if you enjoy making the content. Like last week, you were like, I'm going to do the content. You did a good job,
Thanks.
but you're also sick. But I don't know necessarily if that's your thing. No, now
Yeah.
Brianna's okay. I didn't know Brianna's here, so we got to quit talking about her.
No, she can't see live anyway.
Oh,
So I didn't enjoy making the content because I had the wrong tools, and that surfaced pretty quickly. And so I just felt like I was, I don't know, like banging a hammer with like a soft mallet. It was just like, what I'm trying to do this thing and I don't have the right tools to do this
because
thing.
the editing is different. Like what you
Well,
pull and what you made were one a lot shorter than what I do.
yeah.
It's just something that I wouldn't do. But I'll be damned. We post that first one, and yours did better than most of the ones that I post. And I'm like, well, fuck. There you go. Let's just have Chelsea do it.
So I do want to do more. It won't be after this week.
I just don't think you'd like it, even if you had the tools. I honestly think you don't like doing it.
Okay, Brianna's here. Oh, this is funny. No, I'm not decided yet. Like initially I was like, I'm never doing this again. This is terrible. I like picking the segments. So I'll give you the full play by play. So I wrote down, like you can kind of see me throughout the episode typing something. So sorry, but I wrote down probably 7 moments that I wanted to go back to because I thought they'd be interesting to edit. When I went back to them, I only found 2 interesting. So I was like, wow, did I just really poorly write down the right? And I listened like around it too. And I did not find the segments I picked very interesting. The episode was too long for me to like go top to bottom and edit slowly. So I was trying to like remember certain moments and I was struggling to do that. So the 2 I found I really enjoyed, like picking creative things around them I liked. It's more the graphics and the stuff that goes on top of it. like editing, just clipping the episode, easy, like adjusting sound, easy, adding music, easy. Like I find a lot of that stuff really simple. It was adding like having the picture spin in and show up, like those transitions and stuff. I
Yeah,
am not talented at that.
but that's not necessarily what I'm kind of referring to. Like, I don't think, and I could absolutely be wrong, but I just, from the get go of us getting to know each other and doing these shows and what we both are good at or whatever, I just don't think that's your kink, in a sense
No.
that, making a funny clip to, well, not necessarily it has to be funny, but making a clip, and like I do enjoy it. That's kind of my kink. Aside from, like, I also want the tools that make it easier, like you were describing before, and
Yeah.
I have limitations with, obviously, again, the computer system that I have. But if I had all the tools that I have at my disposal, I would love to do that more. I just don't think it was your thing. But
No.
I also want to keep kind of, I have to kind of balance between, okay, do I keep kind of pushing to have you try to do some more because I think it's good for the show, versus you really don't want to do it and I don't want to push you into doing something you don't want to do.
I want to do it again, and I love that you were calling that your kink as well. So gotta call that out for a minute. This is how much Brian loves this. It definitely is not my kink and would not ever probably be. I want to do it again. I like picking the segments that I think are funny. Like I like picking that. And I like editing where we may have balance, but I don't know if you want to do this. I don't mind clipping the section and being like, this is the section, adding the extra stuff to it.
And you don't have, but that's what I'm
I
saying.
can just post
That's
that part.
that's the flourish that I do that you may not like doing, and you don't need to with the content that you want to make. I just, what I'm trying to uncover here is, do you like doing it in some form or fashion the Chelsea way? I would want you to do that more and consistently if you want to keep trying, because I do think that, like, even in your business you will want to learn and craft doing that to take it
So
on your business side. But who knows, maybe I'm,
no, just the one thing I've learned, I don't need to do any of the color. Like I don't need to do any of the fun jazz. All I have to do is like start finish. And so I already do that. I'm really fast at it now. So I'm like, okay, I can like quickly grab a clip, jazzing it up. I need to get a little better at it. I'll try a little more. And then I could just be like, hey, I pulled out 3 clips, post them and make them look pretty. And then you can do whatever. Did you like the one with sound effects?
I it's just different, right? This is why I do want you to do it if it's not something you hate doing, and I don't want it to be
I
something
don't
that you
hate
feel
it.
like it's forced, or that I feel like, well, Brian's doing all of this, so I don't want it to feel like that at all. I don't mind doing them. I just don't want you to do it if you don't want to. But I do think it's good for the show for both of us to do our own interpretation of what clips are, to
Yeah.
push that out there, because you're casting a different net to people that may get turned on by how you do things, and they may not like the way I do it.
Why is this all with this strange undertone? It's kinky turn-ons. Like we're talking about video editing, just to be clear,
I,
everyone.
I still have I still have your comment about the pleasure machine from a few weeks ago,
Okay,
aliens versus robots,
I
and I'm like,
couldn't come up with a word. I don't
of
know
all
if
the
Amanda
things, I'm
with her
like,
kids.
Chelsea refers to it as a machine. Like, what is in her drawer that's a machine?
I don't know who's listening, but I was trying to say vibrator.
Well, it's like Amanda's kids, and then like her carpool of other kids, and they're gonna go home to their parents and be like,
Oh,
so and so's
no.
mom was listening to something about her pleasure machine and vibrators or whatever.
Oh, I just couldn't. The word, when words just don't come to you, it's mom brain. It never goes away.
And
Oh,
then
goodness.
the words that it didn't come to you, but then the words you used were even funnier, I thought. So, but anyways,
Yep.
um, so maybe what we can do is come up with, like, I wouldn't mind if you want to do like the YouTube clips. They're 1 minute long, so they're shorter. I struggle with the shorter ones. Maybe you're just in charge of the Brian and Chelsea Make a Podcast clips for YouTube, and I turn that just over to you, and you just do that.
Yeah. Or I think
See,
I
I just
probably
heard your
think
tone. I think you don't want to do that.
I don't know what's qualified for YouTube clips in my head. I'm like, is that more work than less work? I
It's
think in
less work.
reality, not following this week because next week I'm out. But moving forward, I just need to there's a funny part that I really want to hold on to, like take the recording, clip the
Yeah.
funny part, and send it to you. That's what I need to do. It's just like get in the habit of doing that because I like the parts you clip too, but I will think like, oh, he didn't clip that one part. And it's like, I just need to clip that part and send it to you. And maybe I jazz it up if I'm feeling motivated, or I just send it to you and you can jazz it up the way you'd like. Some of like the funniest one that I thought you did was the why am I thinking strip party? That's what I'm thinking clip because you added all this extra funny stuff
Oh,
in the
from yeah.
background. And it was
I
just
get
really well produced and very well edited and hilarious because of that. And I was like, okay, I can't add that. So where I'm leaning is not on extra creativity. It's more on is the thing we said in the moment funny.
and that's what we need. We need that style. That's why, the wife and I, when we alternate weeks of going to the grocery store and cooking and stuff, is so that we all get something a little different every week. It's not the same bland stuff, although the kids complain either way. But I think we definitely need a different perspective on content getting cut after our shows. I think you and I, although we do appreciate and find things funny in similar ways, we see certain things maybe a little different of where the gold is.
Mhm.
And so I just say, just do it your way or as basic as you want or whatever. And don't worry about the little spinny things and putting Prince and his dancers in the background and all that. Cause that's not you.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it. I will not next week because next week I'm out, but then for our next episode, I'll definitely do that. What I probably shouldn't last for more than 15 minutes because my coughing will get ridiculous. Um, Next episode, Friday.
Friday, 7:15 Central Time. We are good to go. I'm 90% sure on that. The only way that would not happen is if the track and field senior night goes like super long for some reason. I physically can't get back.
Yeah.
It's not like this is like we're on NBC $1 million contracts. We just do the best we can. But
We'll look out
Friday
for
night for sure. Let's say ish.
the last one that we got excited about that we were talking about was Love is Blind,
Mm-hmm.
which I assume you've finished now. It was quite the dramatic reunion if you followed that drama. So worth maybe, or should I bring up the board and we can see what other things we want?
I say we do the Love is Blind
Okay.
because I think what it allows us to do is hit the specifics of the show, which I know several of us watch. I don't think it necessarily means that you have to watch every season or the last season because there's going to be some things that we'll talk about that are kind of in general to what the show's kind of about, and I'm sure we'll bring in some real life experiences and whether we feel like this is real or not, and how do you feel about physical part of relationships and all that stuff. And plus, I just don't think we have the time right now to go through the board and try to pick something else out. I think this would be a fun one because
Okay.
we haven't done anything like it, right? Other than talking about MILF Manor, but that was kind of a one-off.
That was, yeah, I cannot continue that. No, I'd like to. I think it also is like a fun dynamic between the two of us that we actually bonded on early, that Brian and I both like trash television. So tend to both watch the same trash television, which is more rare than I'd like it to be in meeting people and like finding friends is like, do you watch the same trash TV as me? So this is something we share. We'll see if others enjoy it. I will say, and we'll post it too, like absolutely spoilers. I don't like talking about these shows and being particular. So if you care, like we're gonna
But
100%. to
I
talk
don't think that you have to watch the last season to
No,
tune into our show Friday, nor do you have to watch any season to partake in what we're going to talk about on Friday.
no.
Because we'll pull certain specific details from this last season out, but I see and I know our conversation is going to go way off the road in a sense of when we talk about does the physical part really matter versus knowing somebody on the inside. And see, this is where I think you're going to get your jollies from, because although you just said before that it's kind of a turn off for you that as far as you and I watch the same shows, and do I really want to
No,
you want to
that's
bring a little
exactly
more diversity to the people you hang out with.
no, that's
But
the opposite of what I just said. Is that what
it
you
is, that's what I heard.
No, I said it's rare to find a friend who watches the same trash TV as you. It's something special we share.
But I think you had a little scrolling
No,
caveat
no.
about you prefer for it not to be similar.
Okay, you have to make a clip of this. Roll it back. That is not what I said. That's hilarious. That's what you took away. No, 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 no.
Yeah, that's what I took away from it.
It's so hard to find friends who like the same TV as you with how much functionality there is. And if you weren't watching that reunion the same time I was, which like basically no one was, I had no one to talk to about it. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Well, I know Anna is a big watcher of that show in general. And she's also, we were talking just a little bit yesterday, and I said, can you wait on your conversation for Friday? Because I think Chelsea and I are planning on doing just a whole show on Love is Blind. And so if we are wanting to on Friday, she would also she wouldn't even mind coming on the live, like on camera if we need her to. Because I mean, she definitely has some opinions on some stuff. And I think, I'm just going to say, I think we're going to have some issues as far as not agreeing on some things.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
Like some big stuff.
I'm stuck with the production problems of the show, so I'm gonna have to go back and read, because the reunion really, really bothered me. But if I can get past that, I was sitting there trying to watch it live. By the way, I don't know if you were in this category.
we were watching it as live as we could. We only have time to watch like 3/4 of an episode each night before we go to bed.
Okay, no. So Love is Blind reunion was supposed to air.
Oh, right. Yes, I'm sorry.
And they bombed. They couldn't even get it till the next day at 5 p.m. And I wasn't urgently trying to watch it. I just, as someone who's worked in tech, was like, oh my God, someone's getting fired. This is terrible. Netflix.
Yeah, that was big mud on their face on that one. And why? And remind me on Friday, I'm curious, why do people hate I have my ideas, Vanessa so much? It's Vanessa Lachey, right? Nick's wife. It's Vanessa.
I didn't know anyone hated her before.
They hate her, and especially her as a co-host. She's awful, and I kind of get it. Not to get into too many of the details, but I'm curious what you all would think when we talk about this on Friday.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. It was very interesting, especially because in that other one she wasn't on it. It was just Nick, the other show.
And I think, well, I'll save it for Friday. We're going to easily get into
everything from the hosts to the production.
Yeah, no, I'm ready to break it all down. What I'm going to have is a roster with the pictures, and I'll work on that. I'll try to find something from the show that has their pictures, because I don't know anybody's names still.
I'll make something.
Oh, you will?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'll leave that to you.
It'll be easy for me. I'll make a roster for you.
Now, is this something you're going to make it 2 minutes before the show on Friday?
No.
Are you gonna display the new lighting at least Friday?
The new lighting? Oh yeah. I don't have any of my lighting on now. I'm very. This is our debrief. I'm trying to make it clear, in our lives versus our production.
I know it's been like a month or so since we had the episode where we were kind of redoing Chelsea's office, and she was getting lights in and moving trees around, and trees were falling out of their pots, and
how beautiful he looks.
And then we were like, are we ever going to see the final stuff. And I think every time we've been on camera, you're in either a different room
I'll have the
or a
lighting on.
different situation. Okay.
I'll have lighting on. I'll have a little image for us with people's names
Okay,
so
because
we
we'll
don't
definitely
forget.
need that.
I
Oh
think I may
yes.
even do a tree this time because there's like complicated connections.
Well, we're gonna do that, and I can't wait because there's a few things that I want to get off my chest. I don't know necessarily if it's coming from just me or maybe it's a guy's point of view, but I want to. This will be good. I get again a guy girl's perspective. Maybe I don't know if that's anything.
Well, and we're gonna
So
gang up on you. Anna, are you still on? Are you in for this?
Anna's probably gone. She was like, I got to get back to my popular podcast where we have thousands of people that watch.
So we'll confirm timing and we'll confirm who's making an appearance.
But most likely it's 7:15 Friday night for sure, Central Time, and it's going to be the Love is Blind episode. Do you want to come up with a cute, catchy name for our show for it? Or keep it simple? Is Love Blind? Or just keep it Love is Blind?
I mean, is love blind is the thing. Trying to be creative, but let's do is love blind. Let's just do it.
Is Love Blind? Okay, we'll do that. So you want to cut a quick teaser so we can do it?
Yes.
Let me get in the right zone here. It's been a few weeks. I'm a little off. I was a little nervous coming in again.
I've been so sick, and you're like,
I know
yeah.
it comes back to me. I'm narcissistic that way. I'm like, your sickness that you got from Brianna has thrown us off.
Like I said, it was probably my
Or
child.
Amanda, or your whatever. Amanda's binging Love is Blind. Although I think she was at one point said she was going to binge MILF Manor. And I think we all just kind of quit. I quit because I don't have that station. I don't have. I can't watch anymore. I just wanted to see one of the moms and sons hook up. So I don't even know if any of that happened. But that show is way too produced. It was too fake for me.
As opposed to Love is Blind, which is just really genuine connection and love. Okay.
More so than some of the other ones. All right, let me get in the zone. We're gonna cut our teaser for Friday. All right, Chelsea. Friday night we have a trashy television episode coming up.
My favorite kind of television episode. We will be deciding definitively on Brian and Chelsea Make a Podcast is Love Blind.
Do people have to watch the show to have fun with our show Friday night?
If you didn't know it was a show, but the question seems interesting to you, join.
See, I like that. I think I feel comfortable doing these because one, I know it doesn't really matter to get it all like the timing because I just chop it up. But I think we have a pretty good feel for how to do the teasers.
I'm keeping it short, keeping it tight. Stacey, you have to join Friday. If Love is Blind is hard for you to watch. Also, you should check out MILF Manor. If Love is Blind is hard for you to watch. Because I think
what is Stacey saying here? I'm late to the party, but am in a relationship, and we met via Bumble. Love is Blind is hard for you to watch.
We will put your comments on the screen. I don't know if I would put that on the screen.
People just think that it's like a private message or whatever. But yeah, if you guys are putting everything's fair game, just like Instagram and taking people's content. If it's part of the Instagram tools that you can use, if it's something that we can see, we're going to put your stuff up there. What is Bumble? Like, I know it's a dating site, but
what is exactly? It is a dating site. What do you mean? That's just what it is.
Is it just a regular dating site? Bumble?
Yeah, it's like one of the most popular ones. Thanks, Stacey. It's one of the most popular ones. Stacey's an open book. She's chill. I don't know. Bumble's like the not Tinder better version. Everyone I know uses it.
I just didn't know if it was, each one of them has something a little different that's like, oh, this is the way to go.
Oh, Bumble's the one where the woman has to make the intro first or something.
But all of them are kind of geared towards the woman, right? That like she fields all the messages and then she's the one that would make the contact on most.
Clearly you and I have never used any of them.
Yeah,
I have
Why
no
don't people
idea.
just use like the Instagram direct message thing or something? Wouldn't that just be this? Isn't that better than using a dating app?
No,
That's not.
each other's shared intentions if you're using a
Let
dating
me
app.
let me see if that's on the unwritten rules that we talked about. Can't we use Instagram as a dating? Because
Oh, people do.
you can scroll through. That's the real person, right? So it's almost like a Google background check is their Instagram page.
Yeah,
Like
if
Andre, who I'm trying to get on Love Is Blind. If there's anybody interested in that guy, super single guy, obviously great personality. I mean, girl dad, all that good stuff.
know that you're like pimping him out, is he aware of this? I know
He
in the
sent me a message the other day, and I didn't know how to read the message. As far as I don't know if he was a little unnerved that it seemed like I was just trying to get him a date or what. I'm like, that's just the way the clips came. It just so happened
you
that a
should
lot of the good stuff we talked about was him
you
being
should probably
single.
not assume tone because I just told you that us liking the same trash TV is one of the reasons we have a good
And
friendship.
I read that one wrong,
And you heard it, yeah. So just
or heard it
assume
wrong.
positive intention, but it is pretty funny. I mean, he seems like a very eligible bachelor, which is why he should not go on Love Is Blind because I don't think he needs help.
No, I do think he needs to go on because we need to have somebody that we can have a party and watch.
I would love to know someone on that show and to get to talk to them about their experience.
All right, so Friday is our next episode, and that's the Is Love Blind episode where we're going to go over the Love Is Blind show as well as some of just the themes from that show. Anything else?
We're answering the question, is love blind? That's what we're doing,
Yeah,
right?
there you go. Is Chelsea going to be sick? Who knows? Did
I
she
mean,
get it from Brianna? Maybe.
probably yes, I'll be sick. Sorry.
Do you think? Okay, can we close on just a question real quick?
Sure.
And I want you to be honest. Like we know you're going back on the twin thing and your sister Brianna, and personalities I think are a little bit different in the sense that I think Brianna, like she's like the nicest person, right? Do you think or foresee a time coming up where